Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Good Boxing Podcast with your host, Josh Saez, or should I say, Yasas. Just came back from Greece. I'm feeling good. It's been a couple of days. I was just celebrating my honeymoon. I spent 10 days in Greece, and a lot has happened since that. I first want to talk about the most recent fight, honestly, that happened in the boxing world that had the entire thing buzzing. And that was the Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley fight. Everyone at this point kind of knows what happens, and I don't want to give you a recap of the fight. But if you didn't see the fight, Jake Paul won a split decision over the former MMA champion, Tyron Woodley. Now, I just want to come out and say, first things first, whether you hate Jake Paul, whether you love Jake Paul, whether you hate Tyron Woodley, or you love Tyron Woodley, I personally think this pay-per-view card that just took place was fantastic. I thought it was worth it. And I got to say, whether you hate or love Jake Paul, he's bringing really, really good shows. And I'm not just talking about the main event, which, in my opinion, I enjoyed way more than all of the other Jake Paul fights. And say what you want, but I enjoyed this pay-per-view card, and I'm just going to come out and say it. In the beginning, you had Tommy Fury, who's been jawing back and forth with Jake Paul. He had not the best performance, but he was on the card. You had Amanda Serrano, who arguably is one of the best pound-for-pound women in boxing, take on, an overmatched opponent, but it was good to see her in there to get sharp before potentially maybe taking on Katie Taylor. And then you had Daniel Dubois, who was coming off a very disappointing loss to Joe Joyce, which he was absolutely destroyed for quitting on the stool after his eye got swollen shut. But all in all, pretty good card. And I just wanted to put a kibosh on something. Was Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley fixed? Whether you like the outcome or not, I think you need to open up your eyes and realize what happened. I want to immediately point out that the way the fight went is the way a fight goes between two rookies. And I hate saying this about Tyron Woodley. He is an esteemed fighter. He is a former UFC champion. Say what you want about Tyron Woodley. Yeah, his career was on the downward spiral, but he was a former UFC fighter. However, he may have boxed. He had a boxing coach. He's been in the gym. Clearly, he has striking experience, but he's never been in the boxing ring on a pay-per-view card that arguably was one of the biggest of the year. First time against someone who has only 4 fights. I mean, actually, I'll take that back. He only has 3 fights. He fought Nate Robinson. He fought most recently Ben Askren, and I always get this mixed up. It was either Isum Gibb or Deji. I always get it mixed. Actually, it was Isum Gibb, right? Knocked him out. So say what you want about Jake Paul. He has more experience in the boxing ring, but his boxing ring experience is nowhere near elite. So I want you to realize you saw, I'm not going to sit here and say they're amateur fighters because they are pros. They're professionals. They're getting paid to do this. But you saw 2 amateurs in the ring. And Jake Paul, for all it's worth, I feel like we learned more about Jake Paul in this fight in trying to box, trying to set up Woodley, trying to sniff out Woodley's traps. Seeing what happens when he actually gets resistance, actually gets someone who's not a rookie, who's going to be impatient and jump in and give him the shot he wants, where that overhand right's going to do damage and the fight's over. You finally got that. And I personally liked this fight. I personally thought it was good to see Jake Paul tested. Yes, you're not getting Ugas versus Pacquiao, but I keep having a hard time understanding why people can't realize these fights are so big because of the audience that the kid brings. It brings eyes, it brings views, it brings pay-per-view buys, it brings interest to the sport. And like, if you're not privy to the fact that Jake Paul is playing an actor, he's being the Colby Covington of boxing. He's rubbing people the wrong way. He's flashing jewelry. He's being ridiculous. He's saying things that rub people the wrong way because he's privy to the fact that he is an entertainer and he is from that world, YouTube. You have to move clicks. You have to say things that rub people the wrong way. And you know what? Jake Paul actually showed boxing ability. It wasn't high quality boxing ability, but the game is hit, don't get hit. And that's exactly what he was doing. He was using that body jab, using that jab, throwing that right hand to the body with maybe the hope that Tyron Woodley makes the mistake, drops the left hand, and boom, over the top. Right? Tyron Woodley, clap it up to Tyron Woodley. What a good performance. I know people, again, are going to say, oh, Tyron, you had him hurt. Oh, you had this. Oh, you had that. You should have did this. You should have done that. But clap it up to GT the Great. Clap it up to Pedro Diaz. Clap it up to these guys that came up with a game plan that was different. He came up with a game plan that wasn't like every other opponent that Jake Paul fought. Every other opponent was looking to land one punch to see if Jake Paul could take a punch. And in doing so, being aggressive, they overextended themselves. And guess what? Jake Paul hit him with the hammer and it was just over. The fights would end early, and that was that. I like how Tyron came out patient in the first couple of rounds, really taking his time, really feeling the moment and seeing if the pressure that Jake Paul is carrying, because Tyron Woodley, for as much as you say, oh, you know, he's a fighter, he's this, he's that, UFC, he's carrying on his back, he has all this experience, etc., etc. I don't think there's a fighter in the world, for the exception of maybe Anthony Joshua or Canelo Alvarez, that has as much pressure as Jake Paul. Everyone seems to hate him. All people have to say is negative things about Jake Paul, and he's inviting it upon himself. I 100% agree. The kid says and does things that personally I couldn't do, or I understand why other people don't like it. So with all the people that want to see him lose, all the people that want to see him win, with all of his fan base ready to either prop him up for the victory or destroy him and say, oh, you see, this is all fake. That's what he's carrying. But in the fight, I don't get how you guys can think this is fixed. Jake Paul, yeah, he got hit, but then he started to move. Tyron Woodley, if you don't know, the reason why he left UFC and got cut was for this very reason. Tyron Woodley, and I'm not trying to denigrate Tyron Woodley, I think he was a fantastic UFC fighter. I just think at a certain point, you lose that edge, you lose that motor, you lose that ferocity that made you who you were. He was someone that was fast, explosive, liked to wrestle, and had good hands. And in this fight, you saw spurts of Tyron Woodley, and that's the problem. He can fight in spurts, but when, I'm not going to sit here and say you're a shot fighter, when you're someone that's past your prime, you can no longer pull the trigger at optimum level when you want to on demand. And that's what happened. Tyron Woodley had spots, he got his opportunity, but when the opportunity presents itself, your timing's off, you're unable to seize the moment. And that's what happened. Jake Paul was a more privy boxer. He got hurt. He didn't look to engage right away. He got on his bicycle. He moved away. I mean, how many people want to sit there and trade? Oh, what do you want him to play? Rock'em Sock'em Robots with someone that clearly has more striking experience than Jake Paul. Maybe not as a boxer, but if you stand in front of a MMA guy, even the guys that you don't think have hands, they have power. You stand in front of a heavyweight, they're going to hit you. If you get hit, you're going down. I don't care if you have superior technique. I don't care if, you know, you have your hands up. The game is hit, don't get hit. And that's what you saw with Jake Paul. He's moving around. I really like this performance because he was gassed. He got hurt. He got rocked for the first time. And you saw him just be disciplined. You saw him get on that bike. You saw him listen to his trainers that were yelling out head movement, bounce. And you saw him trying to just keep a game plan and keep a rhythm. Now, as he fights better people, I don't know what's going on because apparently he retired. He's going to have to polish up some of these skills. But again, he is someone that's coming along. He has no extensive amateur background. He really doesn't even have an extensive pro background. Yeah, he has 4 or 5 fights, but if you look at the resumes of some of these guys that come up and are brought along, Jake Paul is not doing anything different than they are. He's coming up, he's fighting people that have a lot of buzz, that bring a lot of fan base. And truthfully, Jake Paul knows who to fight that's going to generate interest. Tyron Woodley was the perfect opponent for Jake Paul, and there's nothing wrong with that. Apparently, he sold 1.25 million pay-per-views. He outsold Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao versus Ugas sold 250,000 pay-per-view buys. Pacquiao has done so much more for the sport and has been a part of some of the biggest fights in boxing history. But clearly, the kid knows what he's doing. Showtime knows what he's doing, and that's why they're giving this kid a platform. In this day and age, you being able to get eyes on you and you being able to get views and move pay-per-views is what people want to see. And you know what? Whether you hate him or love him, everybody was talking about this fight. I personally was very happy about it because over in Greece, it was on Monday morning, 7 a.m. I was up, I was able to watch it and then get on my flight and come back and do my whole thing. So I was very, very excited about this whole thing. And truthfully, I really think Jake Paul had a good performance. I don't know where a split decision came. Yeah, Tyron Woodley had moments, but Jake Paul was moving around, making him miss a lot, made him hesitate, him with a lot of shots, a lot of check hooks. And I had it pretty wide. I had it 6-2 for Jake Paul. But if you have it a little closer, maybe 5-3, that's pretty much the most I could give it. I didn't see it a draw, and I personally didn't see Tyron Woodley winning more than 2 or 3 rounds. And again, that's no knock on Tyron Woodley. I think he did the best out of everyone, and I think he put on a good show. And truthfully, after this fight, he's making a case for a rematch, this whole tattoo thing, et cetera, et cetera. But again, stop saying things are rigged because it didn't go your way and the guy you didn't want to win won. Stop. Not everything's rigged. If it was rigged, it would look way more polished. If it was rigged, Jake Paul would have went down after that shot, got up and did all these theatrics. If it was rigged, Tyron Woodley would have not taken some of the big shots that he took. This was not a gentleman's agreement. This wasn't Tyson versus Roy Jones. That was the exhibition where all they threw was body shots. This was a real fight, and you saw 2 amateurs at a high level with the pressure on them. The whole world was watching, and look, they put on a good show. Say what you want, but we're talking about it, and that's all I could kind of say because I get really frustrated when you see someone putting in the hard work like Jake Paul. I mean, yeah, he rubs people the wrong way. Yeah, he talks a bunch of shit sometimes. He likes to embarrass people. But when you see a kid giving money from his own purse to pay the fighters after going on tirades about how, hey, fighters need to be paid and, oh, yeah, you know, Jake Paul is a dick. He's this, he's that. But Jake Paul came out of his own pocket and gave almost $500K to Amanda Serrano, who's a legitimate boxer, who has been undercut by legit promotions and legit fighters that she's fought on cards of. And Jake Paul, who's a YouTuber, oh, he's the bad guy, is getting her paid. She fought 2-minute rounds and got paid an exorbitant amount of money with fighting 2-minute rounds. So she fought 20 minutes and made more than guys that fight 36 minutes, right? He was going to pay Tyson. He was going to pay Daniel Dubois extra money, but he's friends with Tommy Fury. So that whole thing happened. Then he gave money to even the guy that Serrano, the girl that Serrano fought. So, yeah, the problem child is a nuisance. I don't know if it's a bad actor. I don't know if he's a nice guy behind the scenes, but who cares? The kid is putting his money where his mouth is, and he's showing through action. He's in the ring fighting. And 2, he's paying these fighters. He said there's a problem with the UFC and other boxing promotions where the fighters aren't getting money, and the kid's putting his money where his mouth is by giving money from his own purse. Sure, he knows he was going to make a bunch of money on the back end with pay-per-views, but still, when you're giving $1 million of your own purse, when he went in the ring and Tyron Woodley hit him, I mean, it wasn't a full-fledged cruiserweight hitting him with knuckles, precision timing, sharp punches. No, but he got hit by a legitimate fighter. Say what you want about Tyron Woodley. You can say he's whack. You can say, hey, his boxing ability is not that great. But he did hit him. He just couldn't pull the trigger. And that's what happens when you're developing. How many times have we seen professional fighters with multiple fights, 30 fights, fighting guys that are on the way out and basically are passing the torch to the new guard? So look, Jake Paul, whatever he is, he's an enigma. He's someone that rubs you the wrong way. I totally understand that. But stop saying his fights are fixed. The kid's putting in the work. He fought a good fighter. It was a close fight. And that's how you fight someone that has a good right hand and who's a rookie. Invite them in, make them make a mistake, make them be antsy, be thirsty to engage, and you hit them with something over the top and see what happens. You find out what they're about. Tyron Woodley didn't win the fight. Tyron Woodley tried to win the fight, and I give him that. He just couldn't do it. And that was due to the movement, the body work, etc. And the experience of Jake Paul. I know it's limited, but hey, he did well. Over the break, I wanted to say, hey, we eclipsed 400 subscribers, and now we're on the way to 500. I really think that this has been surreal, and I just really want to thank everyone for supporting the channel. I will never ask for any donations. I will never ask anything of you. All I ask is support the podcast by liking, sharing, leave a comment. Even if you hate what I have to say, I really, really appreciate everything. And also, if you're not on YouTube and you want to get content a little faster for certain episodes, other episodes, this may be the first place. But if you're not on Spotify, Apple Music, etc., feel free to subscribe to my podcast and support over there. Again, thank you so much for all your help in building this channel. It's really been great. And let me know what you guys think. Do you think the fight was fixed? It wasn't. But if you do, let me hear your thoughts and we'll go through a dialogue. And maybe you can convince me otherwise. But as of right now, I don't really see a fight between Woodley and Paul being a fixed fight. It was a rough fight. Both guys are amateurs, and that's what we saw. Thank you and have a great day.